Have you ever met one of those people who just can't be stopped? It's like they're unstoppable.
Yeah, I have.
Me too.
What's their mystique?
Nothing stops these people.
Don't stop.
Welcome to Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso. You're about to meet some of the most amazing people.
Stop. Don't stop.
They've accomplished their goals despite insurmountable odds. They beat adversity, physical hardship, and traumatic events, and emerged triumphantly. They're people just like you and me, and they're winners. Are you unstoppable? Here's Frankie to show you how.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Mission Unstoppable Radio. I am your host, Frankie Picasso, and I am so excited to be here with you all today. Well, we have another unstoppable guest, and as usual, we're going to go on a mission, and today's mission includes raising your dream. How about that? My guest today has been in the business of transforming lives and raising dreams for more than 25 years. She is a former correctional officer and has gone from working in the jails to becoming a corporate dispute resolution expert who now travels the world teaching the principles of collaboration, partnership, and sponsorship. She's also a best-selling author of 5 books and has been featured in 6 others, no less. Charmaine Hammond is our guest, and she has had tremendous success in finding corporate sponsors to fund her own speaking and book projects, events, and tours, including her printing, her graphic design, venues, travel, media, technology, hotels, and even her pet food and dog poop bags. Yeah, she's developed sponsorship relationships with more than 40 sponsors and 60 business partners. That's pretty phenomenal. Her speaking and her recent speaking and book tour, Million Acts of Kindness, involved a 14,000-kilometer tour in a 32-foot sponsored motorhome where she secured hotels and sponsored for her team and more than 40 businesses and retail chains, raising funds in their stores and businesses to support this movement, a million acts of kindness. Welcome, Charmaine Hammond. Let's see how kind we can be today.
Yes, let's get some kindness spread around.
Yeah. Boy, this is phenomenal. But this is Mission Unstoppable. And in addition to, finding out about your business and everything that you've been up to, I like to take people back to the very beginning because our listeners want to know, how do you become unstoppable? How does it come about? So let's go back to little Charmaine, the little girl who, what was your family like? What did you grow up? Where are you in the family, sisters, brothers?
Yeah.
Beginning lead.
Well, I grew up in Ontario, just outside Toronto, Burlington. So,
okay.
I was painfully shy as a child. I was, in those days, it wasn't as unnerving to talk to strangers, but I was terrified to talk to strangers. It didn't look like when people would look at me, and I felt awkward. And my most traumatizing times were gym class. I don't know if you remember those days where they sit the students on 2 benches and then the kids would pick the team. I was always last. And I know some of the listeners. Yeah, I know. And there's listeners that can relate to that. It was just an awful experience. Plus, I sucked at sports. So, it could have been that was the reason that I didn't get picked.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But, it was a grade 9 teacher in Burlington, Ontario, Ms. Erstakadis, that completely changed that for me. She brought me out of my shell and out of my shyness.
Wow. And so where were you in the family dynamic?
Oldest.
You're the oldest of how many?
Yeah, 3 girls. So
all girls.
Yeah,
wow.
All girls. Yeah, my poor dad. He had far too many conversations about boys that we had crushes on and how do you get rid of pimples.
Yeah, I bet. Poor guy. We had that around our table too. That's so funny. I love that. And when you were, dreaming about a life, I don't think you were dreaming about being a prison guard. what did you dream about being? Yeah.
I always dreamt about helping people. That was always in it somehow. I remember being about 12 and I think it was the Muscular Dystrophy Association in those days used to work with kids to host backyard carnivals. And so I hosted a backyard carnival when I was about 12 years old, and I invited one of the neighborhood neighbors, Karen, to be the fortune teller. And then my dad helped me make one of those sponge toss contraptions.
Yeah.
And, we did little outdoor races, and I had so much fun. And I had so much fun at the event and working in collaboration with these other neighbors. But, deep down, what was even more fun was the feeling that I was giving back somehow. And my family was always active and volunteering. My mom used to canvass for, Heart and Stroke Foundation and all of the different campaigns. And so we toddle along with her. And so I think at a very early age, our family taught us about service and contribution and being a good community member. And I knew deep in my heart that as I grew up to be an adult, that would be the type of profession that I would pursue. Although I didn't think it would be, helping other people in the jail system.
Yeah. Wow. How did that come about?
I'm going to blame it all on my grade 9 teacher, Ms. Cicadas. I just, I'm in touch with her now. We've become Facebook friends, which is so cool. She was my grade 9 English teacher, and she not only helped me overcome my shyness through hosting these debates in class every week where we had to speak strongly on an issue that we didn't care about. So we were, as students, we were all on the same playing field. We all had the same disadvantage, and I was able to participate freely. And I remember being in one class, and it was the first time that I had ever felt so confident. And in my conversations with Ms. Cicadas, who taught English, one of the assignments we had to do was to look forward into our future and, see what we would be doing. And at that time, I think I knew it was going to be in the helping profession and a little bit of risk, although I knew it wasn't going to be a police officer because guns terrify me. I'd be afraid of shooting myself by accident.
Yeah.
And I think in grade 9, you want to challenge your mom and dad a little bit. So I think I looked at Kreshkins because it kind of gave me that helping feeling and a little bit of risk to kind of show my mom and dad I can do this. I can be tough. And it was a transformational experience working in that system, especially when I moved to working with young offenders. That was really my passion, working with the kids.
Nice. Did you have a pet growing up? I know that you and I share a love for animals.
I did, as long as I can remember. We had Johnny the budgie, and we had Georgina the rabbit, and we had fish, and we had cats and dogs growing up. Probably my most treasured pet was a little dog that we had named Duchess, and she was just she became my best friend.
Oh, see, I always wanted to be a vet. Like from day one, probably. Yeah, I wanted to be a vet and a radio host.
There you go.
I remember being 12 and traveling to Guelph to see the university. Go, I'm going to go there one day and become a vet, and I don't know why I didn't. But I would have thought you might have wanted to do something like that. Well,
I'm not good with pain. So if I could just treat all the good stuff.
Yeah,
and exactly. Love on them, I'd be in good shape.
I think that's what happened to me. That we had a farm, and the country vet came out, and it was a gentleman's farm. My dad, worked on the weekends, and he took the horns off one of the cows. We had a cow that liked to, kind of go after people. So he took these horns off, and after that day, I said, no, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's cruel and unusual punishment. Yeah. But I was reading your book, on one of your books on Toby's terms, and in the beginning of the book you talk about, you're sailing and hiking and doing all this wonderful physical activity that you didn't like to do apparently.
Yeah.
So what did you come to a resolution with physical fitness that you started to love it, or was it just your husband or then your boyfriend Chris that made it all possible? Yeah,
I mean, Chris is so physically active. He's one of these people that any sport he tries, he just aces. He's so good at it. And I'm awkward and clumsy. But, one of the things I love, Frankie, about having a dog is those walk times are part of our fitness, but it's also part of our family time. It's a chance to just kind of decompress from the day. And our dog, Toby, is so playful and, he's quite the comedian and loves to entertain us and anybody else who will watch. And so fitness became, I think, more of a daily routine for me through the dog. I mean, I could easily make an excuse why I'm not going to go to the gym, but I could not make an excuse why I wouldn't take Toby for walks every day.
And, you and I both live in Canada, and the winters can be brutal. And now you're moving to California, lucky girl. But, it's only a dog owner that's out there at minus, 20 with their dogs going, yeah, my dog needs exercise.
Last night, pouring rain in Vancouver. You have to, you're right. And it was pouring rain in Vancouver. And all of a sudden I hear this voice behind me, and it's my husband, Chris. And he said, Charmaine, you didn't warn me about the skunk over here. And I thought, oh, no, not again. And Toby had just missed, yet another skunk. But there, we've had to deal with so many skunk sprays at midnight and, all these things. But it's part of what we do for, our family, whether they be human or pets.
Well, I definitely want to get into talking about the dogs a little bit later, but we're going to go to a commercial break in just about 2 minutes. But let's start with, you do have a wonderful story about, saving your husband to be. And I think that's a really great story, because I think it really sets you up as, somebody who really is unstoppable and determined and, will do anything for those, for really just about anybody, I would think, even though you loved him very much. I think that's a really wonderful story. So can we tell that story when we come back?
Sure. I love telling that story.
That's a great story. Yeah. And definitely, I want to talk about raising a dream, because honestly, that's why you're here, to help all of us raise our own dreams. And definitely we need to talk about Toby 1 and Toby 2, because they're very important in the scheme of everything in your life and the lives of all of us out here, really, because they're beautiful stories. So we have all of that to look forward to with Charmaine. While we are doing our commercial break, and just before we go to our commercial break, you can go and visit Charmaine at her website. And I will tell you what it is in just a moment. It's www.raiseadream.com. And you can go visit that while we're there, and you can just wait for us to come back from our commercial break, because we don't want you to go anywhere, because Charmaine has so much stuff to talk to you about. Can you imagine going from corrections to a 5-time author and also in 6 other books? Like, wow, that's incredible. Just love all the work that you've been doing, Charmaine. You're an incredible person.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very special. We will be right back from this break. Don't go anywhere.
Don't stop.
That's right, don't stop listening. Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Stop.
It's words you never heard.
Do you ever get nervous riding in an elevator because you're afraid the cable might snap? It's entered my mind more than once. According to Elevator World magazine, on the rare occasion a cable breaks, the car won't plunge to the bottom. This is because elevators have as many as 10 cables holding them up, each capable of supporting a fully loaded car. Sometimes I feel a little mischievous in elevators. Next time you're feeling like a rapscallion, try one of these little jokes. When there's only one other person in the elevator, tap them on the shoulder and then pretend it wasn't you. Push one of the buttons and pretend it gave you a shock. Or maybe start a sing-along. What's a word for a person who thinks he's funny but no one else does? Witzelsucht.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Have you tried to get on a regular exercise program but find that you keep quitting? I know that's frustrating, but there is a way to rise above it. Changing your approach may be all you need. You may feel burned out or exhausted because you're overdoing it. Going from getting no exercise at all to working out several days a week at a high intensity is bound to make you quit. Maybe you find walking on the treadmill boring, or when you cycle, you think, do I really have to do this the rest of my life? Or you may be so sore that you can barely get yourself up to exercise the next day. Be sensible. Find an exercise mode that you love doing. Get proper instruction. Don't skip your workouts and mix it up. Do a variety of things and don't let boredom set in. Keep up the good work and don't quit. All of your time and effort are well worth it. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. Like us on Facebook.
right. Well, you just heard a commercial by Annette Hammond, who's a fitness expert, but we have Charmaine Hammond with us, who says she's clearly not.
I'm not a fitness expert. No, we're leaving that to Annette.
But we are back, and she does something that's very special. But we're going to get more into that in just a moment, because we are going to talk about a very, very special time in your life, a life-altering time when you really showed the world how unstoppable you are, and your partner.
You bet. Well, it's we were living in Lac La Biche area, Plamondon, actually, a little tiny community about 2.5 hours north of Edmonton. Mm-hmm. And Chris, who was my boyfriend at the time, he'd been sailing forever. He grew up, actually he had a sailboat before he had a car. So he sailed in Ontario all the time, and was in the Navy Reserves. I had never sailed, but I was going to knock this out of the park. So we had a little sailboat, a little catamaran, and a 16-foot Hobie catamaran, sort of like the ones you see on the beaches at the all-inclusive resorts.
Sure.
And so we went out sailing, and it was beautiful. Although northern Alberta, I just got to do a side by here. Northern Alberta in August is still terribly cold. The ice doesn't come off the lake until June, late May or June. But we had been sailing for a couple of hours, having a great time. The wind was perfect, and we hit a massive gust of wind, and the boat flipped. And for Chris, that's kind of a woohoo moment. He flips boats for fun.
Oh, wow.
I don't get that, Frankie, but
yeah,
he was totally fine with it. For me, the shock of hitting the cold water, we didn't have wetsuits on. The shock of hitting the cold water, and I was in what they call a trapeze harness, which is a sort of a diaper-like contraption that you're hooked onto the line that goes to the top of the mast, and that allows you to kind of hang out.
It's almost like a parasail in a way.
Yeah, and it allows you to kind of hang out over the boat. You see it on movies all the time, and the whole purpose of that is keeping the boat in the water. So when we went over, I'm kind of in this contraption and couldn't get out. And so, in that moment, I thought, I hate sailing. And I was really angry at Chris. What's really interesting, Frankie, and you might have experienced this in life, is sometimes when we become afraid, we just go immediately into anger.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what I did. So I was so angry, I just wanted to go home. And Chris said, we're going to right the boat. It's going to take a couple of minutes. He explained exactly how we were going to flip the boat back over and get on it and keep sailing. And that's exactly what we did. We got the boat flipped over. I'm ready to get on, and I'm climbing up. And I could not lift my body weight onto the boat. I mean, it's so awkward. There's no stairs.
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing to push up from the bottom. And so I couldn't get on the boat. And Chris came over to just sort of give me a push up. And in that very second, as he was pushing me up onto the boat, helping me up, a massive gust of wind hit the sail. And the boat took off with me dragging behind it. And terrifying. And, Chris he swam as fast as he could and trying to grab a line, a pant leg, the boat, and he couldn't. And I wasn't up on the boat. I was kind of hanging on. I still was not up on the boat because when the wind hit the sail, it pushed me back in the water. And so I got dragged for quite some time. And to kind of set the stage, Lac La Biche is a very big lake in Alberta. It's about 23 miles long and about 7 miles across. And we're right in the middle.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's surrounded by, farm country. It's quite beautiful there. So I was hanging on for dear life and, turned around and
not a boat in sight, right?
Not a boat in sight. And couldn't even see Chris's life jacket. I had gone that far that quickly. And just like in life, we get these little nudges or these little voices in our head that either help us or hinder us. I had a helpful voice that just kind of was saying, stay with the boat, stay with the boat. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I did. I just hung on for dear life. And at some point, we think it was about at least a mile from where I got taken away from Chris. At some point, I don't know if I actually let go, subconsciously let go, or was torn away from the boat. But the result was the boat and I became separated, and the boat continued sailing just as if people were on it.
Wow.
And at that moment, I knew I was in trouble because it's, a 3.5 mile swim. I can't see Chris. And to everybody on the beach, it looks like we're out there sailing, having a great time. So I kind of, I did what lots of us do under pressure. We feel like we're swimming in circles and putting out all this energy, not getting anywhere. That's what happened. I mean, I just swam in circles and treaded water and eventually, just
using up all your reserves. Shoreline. Yeah.
Totally. And I'm, all that mattered in that moment was really the shoreline. I've got to get to shore. And if you've ever swam in a life jacket, it is the absolute exercise in frustration because you take what it's like. You take a stroke forward and then you're pushed back 2 strokes.
Yeah. And then it all comes up over your neck and everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Meant to save your life, not meant to swim in.
Yeah.
And after what seemed an eternity, I heard this splashing to my right, and it was Chris. He had swam all that way from where we were separated to where I was, and quite exhausted. So we.
And I'm going to stop you for one second because amazing that he even had the direction right.
Yeah, I mean,
because you couldn't see him. How could he see you, right?
He followed my screams for help, and he watched. Chris spent many years on the water, so he watched where the boat was, and he just kept following the path that the boat took, and he knew I'd be on there somewhere. And he could have made the choice to swim to shore.
Yes.
And he made the choice to swim to me, so we didn't have to be alone. And really the next few hours were horrifying because we had to make the decision: do we huddle up and drift across the lake to a place called Owl River that's really all farm country, 10 kilometers in between farms sometimes.
Yeah.
Or swim to shore where we at least know that there's people and help. And that's what we decided to do. And it was, grueling. We swam through a thunder and lightning storm. We swam through.
Gosh.
Yeah. When the thunder and lightning storm happened, it got so dark in where we were.
Yeah.
The sky just turned black, and we saw all these cars coming to the beach, and we could see them because they all had their headlights on. There's about 7 or 8 of them, and we were. I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, finally they've heard us.
They're here for
coming.
us. Yeah.
They're here for us." And one by one, they turned away. They left. They couldn't see us.
Wow. How long were you actually on the water?
4.5 hours, which without a wetsuit is,
crazy.
A little sidebar. The week before, I had been talking to a paramedic named Nola, and she was telling me they had just rescued somebody from the lake who, it was a fatality, and she said the longest people that had ever survived that lake without wetsuits was not even 4 hours. And so time became extremely important to us that day in the lake, as you can imagine.
Yes.
So, we swimming and, getting more and more exhausted. And when I would get tired, Chris would hold my life jacket and swim with the other hand. And when he would get tired, I would do that. And eventually he just became so cramped and hypothermic. I mean, his skin color was changing. He was vomiting. He was in and out of consciousness. Absolutely terrifying. Terrifying. And then, of course, when there's no sign of help coming, there's this sort of frantic energy, as you can imagine.
Was there any point that when you said, "I'm just going to give up," like, it's no point, useless?
There was, Frankie. And I mean, I'm a pretty positive, optimistic person, but I'll tell you, when you're in a situation where you feel helpless, and hope really did feel like it was sinking that day into the bottom of the lake, there were many times that my brain took me to very scary places, not making it. But what's really interesting is I remember at one point I'm thinking, I just can't do this. I hurt so much. Like, my body was so tired and so sore. But I knew I had to get help for Chris because he was going in and out of consciousness.
Right.
And part of what I discovered is that when we're letting those awful thoughts feed into our brain, you lose your ability to swim. Like, when I was thinking despair, or what if, or if I don't make it, who's going to feed the dog? When did I call mom and dad last? All these thoughts that come up. When I allowed them to take a lot of space in my head, my physical ability to swim actually deteriorated.
Yeah.
Yet when I would get angry, interestingly enough, this was a good time frame, when I get angry and, be thinking, I'm going to make it, like, I've got a dog to feed at home.
Yeah.
I have family that need to hear from me. And when I would put those thoughts into my head, sort of empowering thoughts, or sort of fuel this anger into empowerment, I felt like Wonder Woman swimming in the lake.
Yeah, I understand that. I get really angry. I clean my house. Get a good clean.
Get out that vacuum.
But also, like, what you will do for somebody else, you don't do for yourself sometimes, right? Like, love makes you do for him. Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps you overcome fear.
Yep.
And at one point, Chris, just his body had cramped. He'd swam that extra distance to come and be with me, and he just said, Char, you need to go get help. And I said, well, I'm not leaving you. And he said, but you need to leave me here, and you need to swim like crazy, and you need to bring back help. And I think he noticed that look on my face that probably told him, that I didn't want to leave. And he didn't tell me how dire it was for him, but he knew he was on a very, very short time frame.
Sure.
And he could feel his body shutting down. And so he said I had to leave him, and I wasn't going to go. And then he said something that changed everything, Frankie.
Yeah.
He looks me square in the eye, and he says, when we get back to shore, you've got a wedding to plan. So, and apparently
there's a proposal for you.
There's a proposal. I have one of the ones from the movies, and I took off like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
We joked at our wedding a year later that he says, I don't even know if she said goodbye. She just took off like a shot with the promise of the wedding ring.
Yeah, there's the carrot. now you got it. Yeah,
but it was amazing because in the sense that his being so clear in that moment of dire situation, he sort of surrendered to the situation, whereas I did not, and he just sort of surrendered to it. And
just trust in you. He put his trust in you that you were going to make it. We're going to go to commercial break, and we're going to finish our story when we come back, because you know what? A good cliffhanger is always a good place to stop. Don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear the end of this story.
Stop.
That's right. Don't stop listening. Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Stop.
It's merging and reheard.
Have you ever wondered where the terms used in computer speak originated? The word cookie, that packet of information that travels between a browser and web server, is named after the fortune cookie, a cookie with an embedded message. Rebooting the computer is literally pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. The name Google was originally coined in 1938 by Milton Sirota, nephew of mathematician Edward Kastner, during a discussion of large numbers. Google is the number 1, followed by 100 zeros. The word Yahoo was originally invented by Jonathan Swift and used in his book Gulliver's Travels. It's a derogatory term for a person who is repulsive in appearance. Yahoo founders Jerry Yang and David Filo selected the name because they considered themselves Yahoos.
It's merging and reheard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Having a tone-tight abdominal area, or better known as a six-pack, is highly desirable to many men and women. Unfortunately, you cannot spot reduce in that area of your body, or in any area for that matter. One exercise myth is that you can do a multitude of crunches to achieve that sculpted look for your abs. While doing crunches is a very good idea and an important element to any exercise routine, it will not give you a six-pack. The reason is that unless you lose weight and keep your body weight low, you will still have a layer of body fat on top of your muscles. Your ab muscles underneath that fat may be toned and sculpted, but the fat that's on top of them is preventing you from seeing that. Include fat-burning cardio exercise in your daily workout along with your crunches. I'm Annette Hammond. If you're a fan of Fitness Minute, like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
Okay. You are back. It's Mission Unstoppable Radio. In case you forgot, you're listening to, I am your host, Frankie Picasso. My guest today is Charmaine Hammond. And if you needed proof, any more proof that she was unstoppable, you're going to hear the end of her rescue story to her then boyfriend, about to become husband, because he proposed in the water. But so Charmaine, he was throwing up. There had been thunderstorms. It's dark. You guys have been in the water over 4 hours, the longest anybody had ever lasted. And he goes, "Honey, you got to go and you got to go find help because I'm not going to be able to do it anymore. This is it. It's dire for both of you."
Yes, definitely more so for him.
Did the strength come for you from just, I can't let Chris die?
Yeah, I don't even remember thinking it. It's so weird what your brain does in a moment of crisis to protect you. Yeah. So I just remember feeling desperate that I had to, when you get a hyperactive sort of feeling of energy that it's almost so frenetic that you can't contain it. That's what I felt like. I remember feeling like my hands were just flopping about like crazy, and that I was just swimming like a mad woman. And what was so interesting is I just remember thinking, get to the shoreline. And when I would feel like I was slowing down, I would actually out loud talk to myself. Before I had left Chris, this is kind of a funny part to the story. Before I had left Chris, he had kind of we had an argument in the lake because he told me to stop screaming like a girl. And he said, you're screaming help like a girl. Help. What he was meaning is that on the lake, your voice, when you use a high-pitched voice, your voice just is lost into the wind. So he said, you're putting out all this energy and no one will hear you. He said, you need to sound like a foghorn. And I thought, what? So he starts yelling like this, Frankie. And as we do, I turned to him. This is just, the funny things we do under crisis. I turned to him and said, Chris, stop yelling like that. What will people think? You sound like a weirdo. But however, when I had to leave him, I started screaming like a foghorn, not like in my girly voice. And all of a sudden, and this is, I have no way to explain this other than what it felt like. All of a sudden, as I'm swimming, keeping the shoreline in mind, I don't see any boats in the distance. A boat simply appears. It was like somebody lowered it down and put it right in front of me. Didn't hear it coming. It was a little metal boat with a dad and a son. Boy was about 13. And they came to me, and I just told them, go get Chris, and pointed to where he was. And my whole body kind of collapsed. I just kind of floated there. I knew I was safe now, and I could just sort of surrender. And, they went and got Chris, and he was in really bad shape. He, How
amazing that they found him and found you. How far do you think you had gone? When you had left him, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Yeah, I think it was probably about 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So I had, covered a little bit of distance, and they found him. And
what were they doing out there? There had just been a thunderstorm. What were they doing out there, did they say?
Here's the interesting thing. That young boy in the boat, he was 13, we talked to him as we were setting up the boat on the beach, and he thought it was the coolest thing, and he helped us push the boat in the water, and he was watching. And when we later met our rescuers, because once they rescued us and we got back on shore and they kind of revived Chris, I don't remember sort of anything after that other than talking to them and eventually going home and phoning my mom and dad and my sisters. But a couple of years later, the campground where we got back to, where we set sail from, they phoned us and they said, the family that rescued you is here and they'd love to meet you. And so that's when we got the whole story, Frankie.
Wow.
So what we didn't recall or blocked or, maybe have no memory of, so they said that they heard the cries for help immediately after the boat, once the boat flipped and I was being dragged
screaming
behind
like a girl.
Right, screaming like a girl. They actually heard it, but the voices were so distorted. They thought it was a car accident. They had all these people driving up and down the streets in this little rural community.
Wow.
People phoning asking neighbors if there's an accident by their house. And it was the young boy who who thought, wow, those people that were sailing have been gone a while, and I can't see their boat anymore, because the boat had actually made it the whole 7 miles across the lake.
Yes.
It ended up exactly across from our home. We could see it with our binoculars, and the RCMP brought it back the next day. So it was that boy who kind of, for whatever reason, something made him think something's not right, and we need to go find those people. And so his dad and he went out, and he won a little award. He wrote
I was just going to say, did you get an award? Because it should, yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, forever grateful to that man and his family, and often think about them.
Well, this is, a real testament, though, to you and your reserves and just being unstoppable and not letting anything, stop you from your mission. And that's who you are. That's inside you, and nobody can take that away from you. Right. Another thing that described you that I found out was that I'm not going to say you're recovering, because I think that you probably have recovered already. A recovered perfectionist.
It never ends, Frank. It's a lifelong journey to recover from perfectionism.
That's really tough. I watch a son and a daughter who, my daughter would, she has this beautiful handwriting, and she would get halfway, and if she had one little mistake, she'd have to start again. And I'd be like, rub it out.
That's what erasers are for.
No, you have to start all over again. And I'm like, that's a painful life. That's painful.
Yeah, I was still, I think, a recovering perfectionist, but definitely not as hard on myself. And it was my first dog, Toby, that stopped me from being a perfectionist, believe it or not. It's amazing.
Let's talk about the Toby. Oh my gosh, what a sweetheart. And, I was in love with him, like, from the first page. Honestly, he was so cute. So you had Dukes, right? Was it Dukes?
Yep. White German Shepherd Dukes.
German Shepherd Dukes. And unfortunately, his time had come, and he went across the Rainbow Bridge, and it was time to get another furry friend. How did Toby come into being?
Well, we found him on the internet. I found my love on the internet.
Yeah.
And Chris was looking at pictures of dogs, and he saw this gorgeous Chesapeake Bay Retriever. So they're in the Retriever family, but they've got these they're really big heads. And he was sort of an auburn color, but these eyes, amber eyes, and a pink tongue that went on forever, hanging out of the side of his face.
And the curly little hair on the back.
The curly hair on the back. And so we went to the rescue agency. He was 5. Toby was 5 and had been rescued. And we went there and met him, and I was in love. And, I think Chris was too, although he wouldn't admit it then.
He was at least in like.
Exactly, he was in like. And Toby was working really hard to actually get Chris to like him at the little adoption interview. And so we brought him home the next day. We had to sleep on it, and I didn't even sleep. I just waited till the time we could go pick him up, and so 5 years old, he was this perfect pet for the first 6 months, and then it was almost like the day the adoption is kind of final. Complete. 6 months later, he turns into this other creature. Chris comes home from work one day, and the house is destroyed. I mean, there's water everywhere, mud everywhere, bubbles everywhere, broken stuff everywhere, furniture that's been moved. The house was a complete disaster. And, he thought some crime had happened there. And my neighbor said to him, no, the only crime that happened was named Toby. So our beloved creature turned into a dog that,
a Jekyll and Hyde.
A Jekyll and Hyde. And, we thought, man, are we going to be able to keep this dog? But we brought a behaviorist in. Her name was Maggie.
Well, and wait. You swept over it, because it's not that he messed up your house once.
No.
You went, 17 toilet lids that he brought?
Oh, we were known as the toilet tank lid people at Home Depot. He had this thing about, he would lock himself in the bathroom. He'd go into the bathroom. You could be anywhere in the house, and you'd hear silence. Then you'd hear the heavy pitter-patter of feet, and then you'd hear a bathroom door close, the clicking of the closing. Yeah. And he'd never break the toilet tank lid when we were there, but he would constantly trap himself in the bathroom. And we had to tell visitors, like close the door all the way, because he'll barge in and, he'll sit in there and wait for you to come out with him. And so, he would, when we weren't home, he would break toilet tank
And he could turn taps on.
Oh, turn taps on and just, oh my gosh.
Took all your clothes out of the front hall closet.
Absolutely. It was just,
my son has a dog like that.
Oh, really?
Every day they come home, all the clothes are out of the front hall closet.
Really?
Sometimes he takes them all up to the bedroom, all the shoes. He's taking food out of the pantry and taking it up to the bedroom and spilled it everywhere.
Oh my
gosh. This is constantly, all the trim. I'm going, it's Toby too. Yeah. And I thought, we have to ask Charmaine, because I said to my son, I said, your dog needs a job. He's a shepherd husky. I go, your dog needs a job.
Oh, yeah.
Your dog needs a job. Yeah. So here we go. Yeah. And then I read your book. You go, he really does need a job.
Yeah. Well, who knew? And that's what the behaviorist said. We were trying to correct the behavior on his own, and everything we tried didn't work. And so Maggie comes in and says, your dog's a dog who needs a job and a purpose. And so we actually got him a job. He became a therapy dog at a mental health facility. So he and I, every Wednesday, off to mental health, to Edmonton Hospital. And we did that for 4.5 years. And that's where I stopped being a perfectionist, because you can't have a dog like Toby and have perfection in your life.
But, again, another testament to you, Charmaine, about love. Because you really, showed great patience and love for this animal. And I feel like I would have been the same, but my husband would have got a shotgun out and this guy's gone. Like, we're not doing this anymore.
Oh.
So, you really are a wonderful dispute resolution expert, because you managed to get your husband to keep your dog until you got him under control. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was certainly a big challenge. But
I'm so sorry. We're going to commercial break. How did that happen so quickly? God, didn't we just get back?
I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We'll find out a little bit more about Toby Jr. and Senior when we come back from our commercial break. And if you have a dog like this, stick around. You're going to want to hear how to help you and him. Because as Charmaine says, it's not the dog. You don't get the dog you want. You get the dog you need. Here we go. Yeah.
Don't stop.
That's right. Don't stop listening. Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Don't stop.
It's merging never heard.
A new study finds the happiest couples sleep the closest together, as in less than an inch apart. A survey of 1,000 couples found that 86% of those who kept such close perimeters reported they were satisfied with their relationship. Only 66% of couples who slept 30 inches apart or more reported being completely happy in their marriage. What's the word for getting up on the wrong side of the bed? Metutalipia. Another predictor of relationship happiness is touch. While 94% of couples who made physical contact throughout the night reported a happy relationship, just 68% of couples who kept their distance did the same. What's the word for the semi-conscious state between sleep and wakefulness? Hypnopompic.
It's merging never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
When it comes to maintaining your present weight and keeping your heart healthy, 10,000 is the magic number. You need to take at least 10,000 steps a day, so clip on your pedometer and start walking. The average man takes 7,000 steps per day, while women take 5,000 steps. People walked more on work days, weekdays, and the days they participated in sports and exercise. At the end of the day, check your pedometer and see how many steps you've taken. If you need more to reach your goal of 10,000, go for a walk or a run. Everything counts. Shopping, cleaning the house, mowing the lawn, walking to and from your car. It all needs to add up to the magic number of 10,000 steps per day. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. To hear other fitness and weight loss tips, visit our website at AnnetteHammond.com.
Toby, we're back with Charmaine Hammond, and we're talking about Toby, the first Toby, who actually launched, as Charmaine said off air, launched her own dreams. But before we go there, I just want to say that Toby did work in a mental health facility and helped so many people that he won the Reese Award for exceptional work as a therapy dog. And the Reese Award is named after Reese, who was a German Shepherd, who was an excellent therapy dog. So isn't it wonderful that a dog is giving another dog an award?
I know. Yeah, it was a pretty proud moment.
Yeah. So, hear this dog that Jekyll and Hyde, but he just brought so much joy and love to everybody. And as you said, he taught you not to be a perfectionist, and he started you on your own dreams, because you didn't even know that you wanted to be an author. And here you are, you wrote a Chicken Soup for the Soul article about Toby and got first try, got it in the book, got to, Mark Victor Hansen. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I never forget we went to Chapters and had a lineup of about 60 people waiting for Toby and I to show up for the book signing. And we had trained Toby, who got this on like attempt number 3, to potograph his books. We had
Isn't that fantastic?
Spring-loaded stamp, and he pushed it down.
I love that.
That was great.
Yeah, you get a little paw print stamp on on his copy of the book. How cool is that?
Well, and he presented with me to 10,000 students across North America before he passed away. I mean, he was just this amazing champion of resilience, and he had this old soul to him. And interestingly enough, the day he started working, he did not destroy our house after he got a job. There was still the occasional toilet tank lid that usually came out of, it thundered, or there was some reason for him to feel that breaking toilet tank lids, we think, was his coping mechanism. I mean, I can think of some other healthier things he could have done.
Yeah, but it would have been loud. He didn't like loud noises, which is kind of funny in a way. But you know what? The book is called On Toby's Terms. Please, please, please make yourself happy today. Order that book. You can get it for Kindle for like $3 and something, or buy the hard copy. I think the hard copy is like $800. Very hard to find. But no, honestly, go and order this book. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. Read it to your children. Read it to whoever, because I loved it. And many, many people loved it. Hundreds of thousands of people loved it because you know what? He's very popular. They made a movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Not
He's
made
like
yet.
Candace Marley and me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, movie's not made yet. It's a long process, but we're getting there. And he started this mission, a kindness mission. And when he passed away, and another dog found his way into our heart, Toby Sr. kind of started this kindness mission, and then Toby Jr. Found his way again through the internet to us, and
let's talk about the kindness mission.
The work,
because we mentioned that you went on this 14,000 kilometer tour in a 32-foot sponsored motorhome.
Yeah,
million acts of kindness. What's that all about? Like, where did that come from exactly?
Well, I've written 2 children's books as well. One of them about hospital therapy dogs, and the other one about bully prevention. And so we started doing presentations with Toby Jr. and I just really wanted to make a bigger difference in the world related to kindness, and wanted to continue the work that Toby Sr. had started helping kids. Like, animals are great examples of kindness, because they just accept you. They don't care what you look like and what you wore to work or school. And both of our dogs had this uncanny ability. In an audience of 500 kids, they could find that one student who needed them the most in that moment. It blew me away every time. And so it was not until a little 3-year-old boy who waited until our presentation, and he came up, he really wanted to meet Toby and I, and he presented me with his first book and screenplay. Now, he was in grade 3.
Wow.
And I know. And it was a little story about a Martian family, his own, that were going on a journey. And he was going to make a YouTube video, and then he was going to sell it to Sony. That's what he told me.
How beautiful.
But, it was his enthusiasm and care about his dream. I mean, he really was clear on his dream, and his mom and dad were his biggest champions. And he said to me, Toby gets it. And Toby is kind to us just because of who we are. And I thought, and that's when I woke up with this, idea that I had to put into motion, which was, we need to go across North America teaching kindness and
Yes.
doing kindness. And
Yes.
that's what we did. Fraser
I
RV
love that.
sponsoring a 32-foot motorhome. And
Wow.
Fraser RV, they were awesome. We called it the Kindness Mobile. And they really gave us the wheels, the vehicle to do this. And that's what we were on, as a mission to build more kindness, to bring kindness and to inspire ideas for people to bring kindness into their worlds. And so it was an amazing experience.
Just imagine, if everybody just met people through their heart and instead of with their eyes, and just, offered up love instead of all the negativity that's out there today. And what a different world we would live in if we just treated people like our pets did.
Oh, I remember we were out at one point, and there was a gentleman who was homeless in one of the downtown cores, and he was making this beautiful music on margarine tubs and those plastic picnic pails and flower tubs. And I could hear this drumming, and I thought, what is that noise? It's just beautiful. It's such an unusual sound. And as we're walking, I can hear this. So he had an extra pickle jar, so I just kind of flip it over, and I'm sitting down watching this concert. And when he finished, he came up to me and he asked me if he could hug me. And I said, well, yeah, I was going to ask you first, but
Sure.
you beat me to it. And he said, I want to thank you for looking in my eyes. And I just thought, I fell apart. And I thought, what must it be like to
be invisible
every day, to be invisible? Oh my gosh. And he just, he became a profound teacher for me in life about, whatever I'm doing in life, to be reminding myself. It's so easy. We get our head down and, we're busy. But I just try every day to just smile at people and to notice people. And I've met so many people through the years that say they've felt invisible or felt unnoticed. And I thought, what?
And they were unnoticed.
Yeah, they were unnoticed.
It's our guilt. We feel guilty when we see people, who are living on the street or people who are homeless, and we think, oh, they need help, but I'm too busy, or I'm afraid to touch them, or I don't want
to. Or I don't know how to help.
Yeah. And so they don't look. They don't look. And how awful to feel invisible, you know, like really, really awful. Boy, you are certainly a special lady, and we can all learn big lessons from you, Charmaine. But what I really love, out of all of this, though, you still managed to have it all sponsored, even your poop bags. Come on. So tell us about, we're at the last leg of the show. So tell us about Raise a Dream, and how is it possible that you help people find all this sponsorship?
Well, we had such a great experience with the Million Acts of Kindness Tour, and sponsorship and collaboration has always been at the root of my business. I've had my business 23 years, and I've just seen the goodness that happens when people get inspired and work on an idea together. And in Raise a Dream, we basically took, we being Rebecca Kirstein and I, who are the founders of Raise a Dream, we're both so inspired about helping people raise their dreams, that project that keeps them up at night, getting that launched into the world and making a difference by doing what they love. And so that's what we do now, is we teach people, authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs, how to raise their dream and how to bring their dream into the world. Because both of us firmly believe that when our dreams get launched, that's what really, really makes shifts in our planet.
For sure.
It makes the world a better place. And collaboration, I've met thousands of people around the globe as a speaker and an author. And I think out of the thousands of people that I've met, I can think of two that really, blatantly were not helpful. The majority of people we meet in life, they want to help. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. But here's the deal. They don't know how to help if we don't let them know what our dream is. So we become kind of dream champions, helping people get their dream into
Dream
the
champion. Dream champions at www.raiseadream.com. Run to their site. Run to their site. And, having a dream and pulling it off is one thing, I think, and that's like amazing how you do that. Now, is it all, do you have like mastermind groups, or do you help them one-on-one? Is it expensive to do it, or is there cheat plan or?
Yeah, there's a cheat plan. You got it. Yeah, we actually have a fantastic online program. It's called the Big Dream Primer. And so people can work at their own pace, and it gives them the tools that Rebecca and I use. It gives them their 7-step method, their 7-step plan of sponsorship. But I think what it really does is it helps keep that dream alive, and it helps people step into action and really build powerful relationships that will help them launch their dream. It kind of gives them confidence. And then we also have retreats and live events and workshops and webinars. So there's lots of ways that we work with people. And both Rebecca and I are these natural connectors. We're just like you, Frankie. We naturally just see these connections of people that have to know each other. Yeah. And that's a big part of what we do, is just helping bridge relationships and natural connections so people can work together to raise their dreams.
And it's important because, a lot of times, especially with entrepreneurs and their dreams, they don't have a community that believes in them. Like, the people around them are usually afraid of what they're about to do. And so it's so helpful to have people like yourself and Rebecca who will inspire you, and the communities that you've brought together, the birds of a feather, really, that they can talk to and be inspired by, because, oftentimes families and friends can be dream killers, not dream builders. And that's what you need, right?
Totally. I mean, you need your circle of what we call champions or influencers. And I have the pleasure of one of my colleagues who you also know very well, Teresa DeGrobois, who heads up the Evolutionary Business Council, and my other business partner, Joseph Ranseth. We host this event every year called the Global Influence Summit. And that's what we do, is we help people really build influence, because part of what makes dreams come alive, and I should say that most people's dreams are actually way bigger than they allow themselves to think.
Yeah.
And, isn't it true? We see things in people that they can't see in themselves. And that's what I love about helping people build influence, is because other people will take on the messaging of your dream. They'll help be a connector for you. They'll help be the influencer for good things to happen for you.
Charmaine Hammond, the dreamer, the dream queen, if you want to call it, raiseadream.com. Thank you so much for being my guest today. We've run out of time for the show, but wow, thank you so very much. What an unstoppable woman is Charmaine Hammond. Run and grab her books, run to raiseadream.com. And, if you have a dream that you want to bring into life, definitely seek her out. Thanks again for tuning in to Mission Unstoppable Radio. I'm your host, Frankie Picasso, and I will be back again next week, next Tuesday, same time, same channel. Take care.
Don't stop.
When the chips were down, they didn't stop. Stories of people who, when the odds were against them, turned defeat into victory. You've been listening to Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso. See you next time, and always remember,
Don't stop.